Nice, by God's grace. Sweet little hip hop and rap tune there. So again, any feedback for By God's Grace, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, and what you think could be improved about the song. So let's see. So I love the vibe you had going. I love the kind of plucky sense that you had, reverb delayed out, that kind of just set the atmosphere for the song. I like the drums that you had and the progression of the track. I would definitely like to hear more of the track. You only have 1:43 of it done. I definitely hear this as around a 3-minute type song. Could be even shorter, maybe even a little bit longer. With these rap and hip hop tracks usually last, around 2:20 to around like 3:30. So I'd aim for that length for this particular track. Okay, Devlin Sound kick. I think the kick could be thicker. I definitely agree. So as far as the drums go in general, I want to talk about the 808 that you had going here. We'll just play it real quick. So I definitely think the 808 needs work. The sub bass you had, kind of 808-ish type sound you had going. It's too muddy in the mix, and it's a little too inconsistent. So first off, I would do some compression. Compression, as subs are the foundation of your song. If you have a foundation element that is going up and down in volume, it's going to create inconsistencies in your mix. And it's going to be a little bit harder for the listener to place the specific instruments in the track. Even if they can't quite put their finger on it, or they're like, oh, this is a good song, but I'm not quite sure. It's just, the mix seems a little off. That will kind of be the feeling with these type of elements. It's not necessarily to say, oh my God, it's so inconsistent, I don't know what is happening. It's just very subtle. But with the foundational element, you definitely want that to be solid. And so I think even over compressing this type of sound, sub basses and basses, depending on the bass line, I think that's where it's okay to over compress, because again, it's the foundation of your track, and having that consistent volume, the entirety of it playing, is incredibly important. So I think just compressing the sub bass a little bit more. And also, again, it's a little bit muddy in the mix. Subs are a little bit difficult to deal with as far as muddy frequencies. I would recommend do some notch EQing in the 100 to around 300 hertz range. A little goes a long way here. Even just a decibel cut in that range could really open up the mix. You think it's sub bass, and you think a small cut with an EQ, how would that really make a difference? Believe me, it opens up the entire track, because the sub bass is so dominant in a mix. It takes up a lot of headroom, and just removing a little bit of some frequencies can have a big impact on your track. So definitely work with that. What else here? Maybe have that melody pluck thing change up a little, have a stutter effect, or have it arpeggiate fast, just to add some flavor. Definitely adding more interest to the track is definitely necessary. That's also what I noticed is, the pluck sound did have some good movement in it, but as Devlin Sound said, you can also add in that arpeggiation, make it faster, stutter-like effect, reverb effects, delay effects, get crazy with the automation, and try resampling. That could be a good way to go about this. Just layer in different types of effects. I also think you could have added in other type of drum sounds to fill out the song. You have the foundational elements for your drum sounds, the kick, the snare, that sort of thing, but I think more like Foley type samples, or just other hip hop type drum samples to fill out the drum arrangement a bit more, to create more interest, would be better. Also, I'm not sure if you're waiting for a rapper to go on top of this. That's also a different story, but still, the things that I mentioned, I definitely would consider doing, and I think you're definitely on your way to a killer tune here, man. So thanks again, By God's Grace. Do appreciate you sending on in the tune. And again, let's not forget, people, we are giving away the Orchestral Companion Brass VST instrument, yours, for free, once we hit 47 concurrent viewers. So invite your friends on into the stream, and let's give away this plugin. I think we're on like our 4th giveaway now. We've given away 3 plugins, like a couple, I think all 3 synthesizers in the past. So I have plenty more to give away after this Orchestral Companion Brass plugin. So as soon as we give this away, then I'll have more and more plugins to give you guys. So the free giveaways keep rolling on in. day after day. All right, who do we got next? Let's see. Awesome, Devlin Sound. Thank you so much. Sharing on Facebook, emailing, sharing on any social media, anything at all to let people know about of this live stream would be greatly appreciated, everyone. Oliver, we are up next. Let's get it started.
Så sjukt att det kan vara något kvar efter alla lager som jag skalat av. Här helt naken står nu bara jag, och alla frågor slutar sakna svar. All oro som jag burit har grundat sig i mitt svek. När jag sagt att jag inte dugit, hur skulle jag kunna känna mig hel? Jag är trygg i mig själv, jag älskar mitt liv, kan inte be om något mer. Är tacksam för att jag tagit mig hit, nu står jag på toppen och blickar ner. Kan inte be om något mer, för jag står på toppen och blickar ner. När det känns tungt så finns det hjälp, för allt jag behöver finner jag i mig själv. Känns aldrig svårt för mig att andas ut, sen jag fattar vi lyser med samma ljus. När jag reds ner till grunden lämnades plats att bygga något nytt. Jag har bevittnat från den stunden hur min morgondag har grytt. Jag är trygg i mig själv, jag älskar mitt liv, kan inte be om något mer. Är tacksam för att jag tagit mig hit, nu står jag på toppen och blickar ner. Kan inte be om något mer, för jag står på toppen och blickar ner. När rädslan får styra varenda beslut är det fråga om tid, men det stjälper till slut. Vad jag sagt till mig själv måste tolkas som svek, vad jag tänker blir sanning. Jag är min profet, med tvivlet raderat så ska jag nå fram. Jag kan om jag vill och jag vill så jag kan. Har blundat och sovit men vaknat i tid. Makten är min och jag skapar mitt liv. Jag är trygg i mig själv, jag älskar mitt liv, nu står jag på toppen. Jag är trygg i mig själv, jag älskar mitt liv, kan inte be om något mer. Är tacksam för att jag tagit mig hit, nu står jag på toppen och blickar ner. Kan inte be om något mer, för jag står på toppen och blickar upp.
Hell yeah, Brons. Loving it, man. Have no idea what you said in this song at all, but I loved it. That's when you know that it's a good song. And even though you don't understand the vocals, you can still catch the vibe. I remember when I was living in Italy, I had to do this remix of an Italian song, and it was kind of like a rock-ish type track, and I turned it into an electronic track. And, you know, rock music has, you know, a different arrangement than like electronic music. And, you know, when you mess around with the arrangements and you transform it into an electronic track, like a progressive house-ish type track, you definitely need to move around the vocals a lot when you're changing the arrangements, you know, a lot. And I remember just chopping up vocals and putting whatever sounded good in the arrangement. So, I'll do like some sort of like vocal effect on like a build up, and I would just take whatever word sounded good, repeated and affected. So, and I had no idea what he was saying at all. So you definitely can make music even if you don't understand, what the vocal, you don't understand what the vocal is saying. But yeah, definitely quality track here. Okay, so again, any feedback for Bronze here, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think can be improved about this song. And let's get a music production discussion started around this track and all things music production related. So love the vibe you had going on, love the instruments you had, love that kind of summertime vibe that emanated throughout the entire track. I would say, also the length was very good. Definitely think it was interesting from start to finish, which is definitely what you want for every track that you create, which is a lot harder. It's easier said than done. I will say the mix could have been improved. That's really the one area where I think this track would really shine. If you had a little touch up to the mix to have the instruments come through a bit better in the track. You have such great ideas, just great arrangement of these ideas, and I just think the mixing, improvements in the mixing would help these ideas shine through a bit better to the listener. So I want to talk about, we're going full screen. We're going full screen. It's happening. Dynamic vocal arrangement. I've mentioned this before in other live streams, but this is something that I hear in a lot of tracks. I've worked with a fair amount of vocals in my productions and have always, kind of struggled to get that professional sound. Especially when I first started working with vocals, I would always struggle to understand really, why are professional songs so much more powerful? Why are their vocals so much more powerful? And I really wasn't paying close enough attention to the specific vocals and how they came through in the mix and the different parts of the arrangement. In professional songs, you'll hear this dynamic vocal arrangement. I just made that up, dynamic vocal arrangement, some time ago. It sounded good and it makes sense. It's my term that I just made up. But dynamic vocal arrangement is meaning different mixing for your vocals in different parts of the arrangement to match the energy levels of the specific part of the arrangement. So what do I mean by that? Your verse is a lower energy level than your chorus, right? So I'll mix in my vocals according to this energy level. I won't have them quite as big. I'll have them, of course, clear and present and forward in the mix so the listener could hear them clearly. But as I go into the chorus, I'll add in layering to the vocals. I'll add in distorted layers, chorus layers, stereo spread it. I'll change, again, the mixing of the vocals as the track goes. In this track, I really didn't hear a change in the vocals at all. It was the same processing from start to finish. And, while the beginning may have been okay as far as the mixing, when you go into the chorus, I would like to hear more of an affected vocal, something bigger in the mix to show that, this is the main event of the track. This is the chorus. This is what I want the listener to remember the most. And again, to let this idea come through, you need to have your mix reflect this. So adding in a layer that's chorused, has stereo spread, adding in something that's a little more aggressive to really hammer home the main theme and emotion of your track is necessary. So again, a mixing of your vocals according to the specific part of the arrangement. That is how I'd go about it. Again, the energy levels of the arrangement. So higher energy section, adding in more processing to make the vocal bigger in the mix. More low energy section, the intro, the verse, mixing it in low energy. So for example, like an intro, you could have something that's EQ cut and delayed and reverbed and pushed back in the mix. Because that is reflecting the energy level of that specific section. And the intro is, setting up your song. It's the least energetic part of your song, and having a vocal that is that you cut off frequencies and push back in the mix will definitely reflect that energy level. So that's something to think about when you're working with vocals on your tracks in the different parts of your arrangement. Okay, end of rant there. I've just seen that a lot, and it took me a long time to figure that out, that different vocal processing needs to be done at specific parts of the arrangement. So I just, like I said, want to make sure you guys at least think about doing that. Not necessarily to say that you have to do it, but just something to think about there. What else? And overall, I just think there needs to be more layering of the vocal. Overdubs help. That is just having the same part of the vocal, just a different recording, just a different take. Layer those together. That way you create a thicker sound. I think overall, for the entire track, it needs a little bit of a thicker sound. And then again, when you get into the chorus, add in your chorus type layers, the chorus effect, modulation effect layers, your distorted layers, that sort of thing, to make it wider and brighter in the mix. What else? Yeah, and I also felt the vocals were a bit thin in the mix. I feel like you may have low cut them a little bit too much. I think that could be worked on a bit there, just letting more frequencies come through in the vocals. What else? The instruments in your track, I just think they need to be a bit more prominent. Like I said, all the instruments, the arrangement of the instruments, the notes they were playing, they were good. I just want to hear more of them. And I think some EQing, let me put in a tutorial here for you. How to EQ a muddy mix. Wasn't necessarily a muddy mix, but there are a few tips in this tutorial that can help brighten your sounds and create a little more separation in your mix for the specific elements in your mix to have them shine through a bit better. So while this again is a how to EQ a muddy mix tutorial, that link that I just put in the chat, I would definitely look at it and apply some of the techniques in there into your track to again have the elements in the track pop out a bit more in the mix to create that three-dimensionality that we are all looking for in a professional song. Glad you got some good feedback or some good tips there. Bronze Music and By God's Grace. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully that feedback helps there. And thank you for sending on in your track again this week. Do appreciate it. Mike Azar, we are up next. Nice. Thanks for sending on in the trap tune there, Mike Izar. So any feedback for Mike Izar, go ahead and put that in the chat, what you liked and what you think could be improved about this trap track. So I love the vibe he had going on. I love that kind of spacey, arpy, melancholic type trap sound he had going. What I think could be improved about the songs, a few things here. Definitely adding in more variation to the track. It gets a little bit stagnant. I think the ARP sound is good. Definitely more variation though. Could be variation in the notes. Could be variation in the specific sound. So adding in delays, reverbs at certain parts. Filtering to that sound. Again, just to make it more interesting. I think the track felt like maybe you were just adding in blocks of sounds. Adding in and taking away blocks of sounds without really blending them in well together to create a fluid arrangement. More transition effects, more drum fills to highlight the changing of the different sections in your track would definitely help create a more complete song. So that's something I would definitely look into as well. Again, drum fills, sweeping sounds, cymbals, crashes. That works really well for trap tracks, so give that a try. What else here? Also try EQing, which sounded like a trap drop. The snare and kick should really punch through. Definitely, the kick and snare definitely need to punch through. I would definitely recommend checking out this tutorial that I have here on gain staging to get the levels of the specific elements in your mix. Where is that? There we go, gain staging tutorial. To get the specific elements in your track, a more clear representation in the mix, to have them come through a bit better in the mix. Because the different elements in your track, the volume levels that they're at, provide the height to your mix. Really, what's more in the foreground, what's in the background. And having those appropriate to have the energy levels of the specific elements come through in their appropriate spots, meaning the kick, the snare. In electronic tracks, specifically trap tracks, they need to be front and center. They need to be up front. And to get that is to have them be a little bit louder in the mix compared to the other elements in your track. And again, this gain staging tutorial will show you how to put the specific elements in your track at specific volume levels. I give specific decibel numbers that are great for guidelines of where you could put the elements in specific decibels. So definitely try that out and see how that works for your track. What else here? And I think side chaining. I think you could have added side chaining to the kick and snare. Usually with electronic tracks, I'll side chain everything to the kick and snare. And I mean everything, even vocals I'll do to the kick and snare as well. If it's a full vocal line, I'll only add a very small amounts of compression, and then this just helps glue the track together a bit better. But yeah, usually mostly all elements I'll sidechain to the kick and snare, so that's definitely something that could help tighten up the track and make it a little more groovy as well. So definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider. All right, sweet. Let's see. Who do we got next? We have none other than Devlin Sound. Devlin Sound, you are up. Hell yeah, Devlin Sound. Always loving your ambient type tracks. Always killing it with them. So thank you so much for sending it on in. So any feedback for Devlin Sound, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved about the song. So, loved all the elements that you used. Always work so well. Really lush, atmospheric, Foley type sounds. Always work so well for this type of track, this genre. So you nailed that. Definitely could hear this in a video game. Absolutely. I would say, I think the arrangement could have been slightly improved. I think it felt like this track didn't quite go where it wanted to go. As far as it felt like you were missing something in this section. It felt like it almost never got to the main theme, I guess is what I'm talking about. I guess I was expecting something a bit... I was expecting more, I guess, drums to come into this section and maybe have it be more, I guess, electronic driven than maybe more atmospheric. So I think maybe I was thinking of drums coming in here, a bass line coming in. I think that's really what I was thinking of here. Yeah, it felt like you built up the tension great here. I just felt like a type bass line, and maybe like a kick, or just the bass line and just some percussion, that sort of thing. I think that would work. Not to say that this didn't work. It definitely went with the flow. It just felt like it just felt like I wanted to go somewhere else. That's all I was feeling. It didn't fully feel like the idea was fleshed out and it gave the main emotional theme that it could have. Although the elements did work well, I just think it could have been taken to another level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, good. Glad you understand what I mean. You know, sometimes I'll just ramble on because I'm not sure how to say what I'm trying to say. And it's just, yeah, sometimes putting music into words sometimes can be a bit difficult. Yeah, definitely a darker undertone would work. Yeah, maybe just try out different versions. Try out different versions, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you can always just stick with this particular version. So that's the beauty of having as many versions as you want. The ability to create as many versions as you want. You can create as many ideas as you want and see what works best. And mix and match those ideas to what you think seems to work best for your particular track and the specific medium that you're putting this track on. And just mixing, you know, as far as the section you had here, some of the sounds are all over the place. I think more compression is needed. That way you can place the specific elements in your track a bit better, so they're more stable. Some EQing as well. I guess you probably didn't go really in depth into mixing just yet for this particular track, but yeah, that definitely is needed. Again, compression, EQing to clean up the mix and stabilize the different elements in the track a bit would really help. Would definitely help out here. Let's see. So, believe it or not, what would I recommend compressing? Let's see. That atmospheric like synth sound, that's going around. I definitely recommend compressing that a bit. What else? That effect that you had right there, the Foley, or not effect, but just Foley sound you had, that was a bit too loud in the mix. I think just the overall volume levels, I would just tighten them up. You know, a little compression goes a long way as well. Having multiple stages of compression on your elements. So just on specific elements, then on groups of elements, then on the master. Just light compression all add up and make this sound more stable than adding, let's just say, grouping all a bunch of elements and then just slamming it in the compressor to try and tighten up the sounds. I think adding in stages of compression on individual sounds, groups of sounds, and on the master would be best to create a stable mix and a more professional mix. That would be my recommendation here. Let's see, what else we got here? You know what, believe it or not, wow, that is, I don't think this has ever happened. I'm 43 minutes into the stream, and I don't have any other tracks to go over. I can't remember the last time this happened. So we do not have any more tracks to go over right now. I guess it is a dead Friday. Not many people online today. Yeah, I can definitely send one on over at Leaked Nudes. Definitely send it on over. And looks like we'll have time to go over yours as well, Devlin Sound, the other one that you sent in. We'll go over Leaked Nudes as well. So again, if you guys have other tracks, send them on in to Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com. Yeah, I cannot believe that I don't have any to go over. We ran out. Usually when I start to run out sometimes, people will come into the stream and just pile on tracks, and I'll have like 6 more to go when I thought we were just about to run out. So definitely send them on in, guys. Again, Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com to get them on this live stream. Yeah, definitely awesome track there, Devlin Sound. I definitely see that on a video game. Definitely. All right, we'll go over yours. Your second one, Devlin Sound. While we wait for a few other people to send in other tracks. Let's go. Nice, Devlin Sound. Another awesome little ambient tune there. Ambient electronic track. So any feedback for Devlin Sound on this track, go ahead and put it in the chat what you liked, what you think could be improved about the song. And let's get a music production discussion started around this track and all things music production related. Any other questions for Devlin Sound? Go ahead and put that in the chat as well. Any questions you have for him about his track, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions about his song. Maybe you liked the bass line, maybe you liked just some of the mixing that he did. just feel free to ask away, as again, this live stream is for you guys to help you improve with your productions. Nice. Some of the bass lines and growls are presets I made with Serum and the melody. Sounding good, man. Sounding good. So one thing, oh man, I wish there were more people in this stream right now. One thing I thought of, I don't know why I never thought of this. I think we should start seeing some reference tracks, as far as you guys sending in reference tracks for us to listen to that are similar to the style of track that you guys send in. That way I can kind of listen to the specific styles that you're going for. Like, I've listened to a lot of music in all different types of genres, really just everything before, and have my own mental picture of how specific songs go. But that doesn't mean, that's just from my experience with music. When I listen to reference songs, that helps me get a little bit clearer of an idea of specifically maybe the mixing style, maybe what specifically you're trying to go for. And I think when you guys send in tracks, I think if you guys also sent in a reference track that is similar to the style of track that you sent in, I think that would be good. That way we can listen to that as well, and I can highlight some differences, some points that I think from the reference track that I think would work well with your track. Again, reference tracks are a reference. So it's, you don't want to use reference tracks as, I'm copying everything exactly from the reference track. It's to get inspiration and ideas for how you can, arrange a track, mix a track, etc. Let's see. I don't really like the lack of high end, to be honest. I think it needs more bounce. Gotcha. Some more like hi-hat cymbals, like type stuff that we were getting at there. Sweet. We can have a quick listen to that as well. Now I can get a little bit of an idea. What else? Okay, so as far as feedback goes, I think definitely, so with the drums, I definitely think you need an offbeat hi-hat. The drum groove needed to be more stabilized. Offbeat hi-hats provide this stabilization. You just have that kick going, the dum, 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 and then you have some crazy like percussion going on in the track, and it's not like I'm lost. It's just kind of, it's hard to the groove doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel complete, and I'm not fully locked into the groove. It feels kind of random. You have these weird like shakers going shh, 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 and just a doom, doom. So an offbeat hi-hat would definitely stabilize that. I'd work on that. I'd also think there are more variation in your like growls and your bass lines. It sounds slightly preset-y. I know you made the preset yourself, but I think adding in just more modulation to it would really help to really just add more interest. It feels a bit stagnant in the mix. It's just a wow, 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 wow. So yeah, adding in more variation, very easy to do in Serum. You said you're using Serum. Okay, nice. These are 2 references for sound design and creating the samples and presets. Also, Desert Dwellers and Beat Farmer were big inspirations. Gotcha. Thanks for sharing, Devil and Sound. I agree, making some hi-hat samples will add to the pack. I'm really new to preset creating. Gotcha. Gotcha. A lot of modulation, using a lot of LFOs, using a lot of envelopes on the different parameters in your synthesizer will definitely add that modulation that you are looking for. So that's what would be my suggestion to adding in variation to your track there. Let's see. Ekmed, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. Do appreciate it, man. Glad to have you on in here for the first time, as well as you, Leaked Nudes. Thank you so much for coming on in, guys. Do appreciate it. See, I'll take a quick listen to the reference track. Okay, nice. Just again to get an idea of what you kind of going for there. Okay, I can say you got inspiration with the kick there. To be honest, I think the kick is too loud in this track. Sure, it has 32 million views. I just think the kick is too loud. It's kind of dominating the mix too much, and it's kind of muddy. That's just my opinion, though, on the track. I'm not actually the biggest fan of the style of mixing that he did. A lot of those synths were kind of mono-ish, when I think they could have really brightened out the track with some stereo imaging. Yeah, so I guess just personal preference. But that's good that you sent it in. That way I can have a better understanding of kind of what you're going for and what specifically, you want to add to your track. So it's good to see that you have multiple tracks that add that inspiration. Always good to see there. So rather than just, copying, you added that to your own style. So thank you again, Devlin Sound. Sweet. Sweet. All right, moving on here. We do have more tracks. Don't you worry, guys. They have come in. All right, yes. So you wanted me to pick any track from here to listen to. We can definitely do that. Which one should we listen to? Let's let the audience decide here. Which track do you all want to hear? Let me know. 1 through 5. Shells, Hold That, Feels New, Lizard Teeth, 4, or Who? Which one are we going to go over? Vote in the chat right now. Okay, we got one for Who. One for Who. Doctor Who. Whether that was a joke or not there, Devlin Sound, we are doing that for we're counting that as a vote for Who. Okay, cool. Tracks 1 and 3 are the newest. Let me know, again, which track do you want to see be played? Which one? 1 through 5 here. Which one? 1 through 5. Type in the chat. Come on, guys. We're not gonna play it. Leak Nudes is gonna be really pissed off. He's gonna be really pissed off if you guys don't choose here. Okay, the most recent. Gotcha. Here we go. 1 for Shells. What else you guys got? What else you guys got? All right, we'll do the most recent one.
Spice got that recipe.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh shit, I'm about to cue him.
Shut up, Paystra, man. Already fucking know, man.
Never die, never refund.
Shut up, Blue Bears, man. We the generals, man, in this bitch.
Oh,
shock, yeah. About like all my fucking problems I don't want, yeah. IDK, what happened, ripping out his heart, yeah. Shao Kahn, hammer and a blunt, yeah. Y'all just try so fucking hard and I don't know why. Even though I'm from the low and know my soul fly, I can make your chick like fuck my bitch, she go by. She was wet from the verse by the fault line. If you be doing what you need to, I don't need you. Cause you at least just shoot your dope and clean your needles. Cut dope killers, take your credit, Beatles. I'm with the juice, the lean, the syrup, and the evil. 3 of the same bitches, guess I'm pimping. Oh, I be stuck up in some fucked up fifth dimension. It doesn't matter, I exist forever ism. That's why these hoes all on my phone, I put my dick in. I fuck your bitch and take your wallet, I ain't major. Around the corner, simply waiting for your prayer. Do, I ain't fucking round and fading. What my main thoughts always test my patience. 40 shells for everybody, ain't no racist. Just know it scares, boy, I always been the greatest. Raka, I ain't fucking around and fading. What my main thoughts always test my patience. 40 shells for everybody, ain't no racist. Just know it scares, boy, I have always been the greatest.
To the 5, yeah.
Nice, Scales. Loving it, man. Loving it. It's definitely a cool rap there. Really hard hip-hop track there. So any feedback for Scales, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think have you improved about the song. Let's see. So, there we go. Yeah, hard hip-hop. That's what we got. Hashtag hard hip-hop. So, definitely love the vibe you had going. Very aggressive. Worked really well. As far as the... Yeah, snare. Definitely want to talk about the snare. I also think, yeah, could use more body, but it also is a bit too loud in the mix. It's a little too sharp. A little too sharp in the mix. I just think reducing it in volume would help. You know, it is one of the prominent high-end elements in the mix. Really one of the only high-end elements in the mix. So it will definitely come through in the mix. I definitely don't need to have it as loud. Let's see. What else? I think, you know, as far as, yes, the 2-note pluck could be expanded on a little bit. You know, you don't have to go crazy with it. You know, even adding 1 more note, 2 more notes could definitely improve the track and be enough. So just something, yeah, a little bit more, just a little more complex as far as the melody goes. I think would work really well. I mean, definitely for this type of track, you want something very simple, as you know, the rap is the main event of the track. So having, you know, some complex, you know, pluck melody playing in the background would definitely detract from this rap. So something very simple, but yeah, definitely something a tiny bit more complex would really help this track. What else here?
Thoughts up and out is hard, yeah. Shao Kahn, hammer and a blunt, yeah. Y'all just try so fucking hard and I don't know why. Even though I'm from the low and know my soul fly, I can make your chick like fuck my bitch, she go by. She was wet from the verse by the fault line. If you be doing what you need to, I don't need you. Cause you were with the juice, the lean, the syrup, and the evil. 3 others.
I think you could have more like effects here. That goes back to the dynamic processing of vocals, meaning different mixing styles for the vocals in the different parts of the arrangement. I think something that is like has like a telephone EQ on it could work really well. So telephone EQ being just kind of like an M EQ. So you take the EQ, you have a you put a low cut on it, you put a high cut on it. Bring those in a little bit, add a couple nodes to create an M. That gives that kind of telephone EQ effect. You know, when you're listening to someone on a telephone, that type of effect works really well. Just again, to add more variation and to create more interest in the song, I think that could be used there.
Bitch, taking it and simply waiting for your prayer. Do, I ain't fucking round and fading. What my main.
I think, you know, other than that, you have a really cool track going here. Definitely working really well. Let's see. Yeah, so any other feedback for the track, go ahead and put it in the chat. Let's see who we got up next here. Who do we got up next here? Timo with Saws. Nice, Timo. Thank you so much for sending on in the track there. And we will definitely go over the reference track right now as well. That way I can get a bit of an idea. You know, like I said, I've never done reference tracks before. You know, I've always, I've listened to so much music before, and I have my own kind of idea of how I think it sounds, or just how a mix should be, how it should be arranged out. That's not to say it's the, only way to think about it. It's just my perspective on it, what I think sounds good. So it's just, again, all this feedback is just to help you guys think about your track in a different way. So even if I give tips to you and you don't agree with any of the tips I give, as long as you're thinking about the track in a different way, then I think I've done my job. So again, it's just suggestions on what you could possibly do. So I think the reference tracks will definitely help me hone in on really specifically what you're going for, and also help my feedback be a little bit more constructive. Because I have specific opinions right after listening to your track without listening to this reference track, but I can give maybe more direct feedback on what specifically you could change. So we'll go ahead and scroll through this reference track a bit here. Okay, sweet. I definitely heard this song before. Just wanted to get a little refresher to it, as well as give you guys a chance to listen to it as well. So definitely, you definitely nailed the style that you were going for. Definitely has that really big bass vibe, the kind of like gritty type, like housey, kind almost slightly like tech housey, progressive housey mix track. So definitely, again, it nailed the vibe. Definitely a cool club tune here. I would say though, the bass line definitely needs to be worked on a bit here. Even before listening to the reference track, I was going to mention this. The bass line is too loud and it's too wide. So let's have a listen to it. Especially in this section here, it gets a little bit too loud as well. So I just think volume reduction and stereo width reduction would really help. Mono equals power in tracks. Mono equals power. Having monocentric elements will give your track the most power possible, and for a club track that is incredibly important. Stereo imaging takes away from this power a bit. Now, in this track, you hear the kick, you hear the sub bass, you hear the clap, you hear the offbeat hi-hat in the center, and you hear that more kind of bass line stereo spread. In your track, it's a little bit too stereo spread in my opinion. It's ruining the depth of the track, and it's ruining just the stereo imaging a bit. When you have elements that are too wide, and the element being the bass line, since there are not a ton of elements in your track, it takes up a bigger part of the stereo field, especially since it's louder. It almost makes the track seem not as wide. You stereo spreading the track that wide. You need to have that contrast, a good contrast, and having, again, a lot of the main element. Usually this happens, usually I'll see that, or I'll hear that stereo imaging is kind of ruined a bit when there's a lot of elements that are stereo spread. But again, you have very few elements in your track, and this element that is very stereo spread is also louder than the other elements in the track, so it's almost like there's multiple instruments that are being stereo spread to cause just it to appear not as wide. So I would recommend not having it quite as wide. One, because it is making the track seem kind of just not that wide. It loses impact. And again, because of the power, having it a little more monocentric. That's not to say you don't want to have the bass line stereo spread, because it definitely would benefit from having it stereo spread, just not as much as you have it now. Also reducing the volume. So again, if you listen back to this track, the bass line is not as stereo spread as it is in your track. It is definitely stereo spread, but it's not as stereo spread. Also, it's not quite as loud. And also, the drums will come through a bit better when you reduce the volume a bit of the main bass sound. Drums in this track come through a bit better. A little more punchy. And again, I think some of the reduction of the stereo imaging and volume will help there. How can you make a serum more mono or more mono in general? Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but something I have been trying to figure out. You can make it more mono by going into the global tab and clicking on the width of the specific oscillator that you're working on. That will help get it into mono. Again, the global tab, or not the global tab, one of the tabs. I forget the name of the tab. The one where you can adjust the width. Yeah, the global tab.
In this lesson, we will actually hear either one of
the range and width. Mess with those. That'll adjust the imaging. What else? As far as learning how to sound design, I would just get some presets. I would download presets. There's a ton of free presets on SoundShockAudio.com and reverse engineer them. That way you can see how specific effects work to create specific sounds. That would be my suggestion. Let's see. What else? Okay, yeah, I think I'll split the sub and top bass as well. Yes, definitely do that as well. Definitely very beneficial. Again, mono equals power. Having a sub bass you want to have in mono, definitely. That'll add a lot more weight and power to your song if you add a sub bass as well that is playing the same notes and has the same envelope as the wide bass sound that you have going. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would just create a completely different patch. Instead of, I guess, monoing out the sub. Just create a completely different patch. Just have a clean sine wave. Have that be your sub bass. And just layer that with the bass line that you have going already. Okay, nice. Yeah, and that way you can also mess with the different notes of the sub bass and the bass line to create more interest in the track. Definitely something that you can get creative with as well by separating these. So definitely something that you want to try out. Definitely. All right, sweet. Yeah, thank you so much for sending on in the reference track. That again gave me a better idea of what feedback I could give there. So yeah, that is actually going to do it for this week's live stream, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming on in. Really do appreciate it. A few returning faces, as well as some new faces. So thank you guys so much. Bronze Music, Commander Root, Devlin Sound, Ekme, Electrical Longboard, Halo KRS, Host, Maraffle, Leaked Nudes, Lurks, Slow Cool, and Ted. Thank you guys for coming on by. Really do appreciate it. It was a bit of a slow day today. I haven't had this slow of a day in I don't even know how long. I think the max we had in here was like 10 viewers at one point or something like that. So unfortunately, yeah, we did not have a lot more people in here. Fortunately, we did not do the giveaway of the orchestral companion brass, but we will have the free giveaway in next week's live stream and every other live stream after that, as again I have this plugin as well as a ton of other free plugins to give away to you guys. Again, we run this live stream every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. GMT time. Let your friends know about the awesome feedback that they can receive on their music, as well as the plugins that they can win for free. Again, 47 concurrent viewers in the stream. We'll be giving away the plugin. Again, invite your friends, let them know of this live stream. And if you listen to this live stream, had your track on the live stream, and want to review some of the feedback that I gave and others gave, you can always find this stream on the SoundShock Audio Twitch channel under videos. Always review it there. Or you can go to the SoundShock Audio YouTube channel, as I always post these live streams there as well, so you guys can always catch up on them. Or let's just say, just want to review the stream in general, you can always again view them on the Twitch channel or on the SoundShock Audio YouTube channel. And again, if you guys haven't already checked out SoundShockAudio.com or frequented SoundShockAudio.com, I would definitely go back and check it out, as there are a ton of free downloads that many people overlook. It's just a treasure trove of free downloads. It is the largest collection of free music production tools on the web for music producers, with DAW templates, music production apps, plugins, presets, contact instruments, samples, and loops, all organized nicely for you in genre, instrument, sample libraries, all there for you guys, all for free. You don't need to buy plugins, samples, presets to create professional sounding music. There is a ton of free content out there on this site for you guys to check out, for you to use in your productions. So I definitely recommend checking it out, guys. And again, thank you all so much for stopping on by. If you have any questions for me, you can always contact me at daniel@soundshockaaudio.com or any of the SoundShock social media. Any questions, comments, concerns, I'm happy to talk with you guys, so feel free to send me a message. And again, we're running the live streams with free giveaways at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. GMT time every Friday. Hope to see you guys back there with new tracks, with tracks that you sent into this live stream and want to get reviewed again. Would love to see the improvements that you've made in your tunes. So again, stop on by next week and have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you next time.